Welcome back to the Gun Collective podcast. My name is John Patton. Boys and girls, we are supported tonight by Vertex. You guys know and love what they do. They make some of the best EDC gear ever. Genevieve and I and her dad, Paul, who you guys have been watching on our cross-country journey, which happens to be sponsored by one of our guests tonight. That was full of Vertex gear. We love it. We use it all the time. And if you love it, you can go ahead and get yourself a discount. If you use the code TGC at vertx.com, you get 25% off. Holy crap, 25%. Also need to mention our other sponsor tonight, Kinetic Development Group. They've been a supporter of TGC for a long time, and they make some of the coolest products, whether you got a SCAR, whether you got an M-LOK rail, anything, you got an optic you need mounted with some kind of crazy QD, they've got it all. And it's really, really neat. If you use our code TGC10 over at kineticdg.com, you get 10% off over there. Tonight, I am joined by two gentlemen that I'm really proud to call friends. I'm taking some pride in this. I'm really taking some pride. These guys are great. First up, we have the man behind KG Made, Kyle Grob. Kyle, how are you, man?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a long time. You've been on the podcast a bunch.
Several times.
Things are going well for you?
Doing quite well. Not complaining.
We'll get into that. I know a little bit about what's going on, and I'm excited to hear more. Our other guest tonight is the man that has supported me since, most of you don't know this, long before TGC even existed. Tom was there to support what we were doing. Tom Bowers from Bowers Group. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing dandy, thanks. And I appreciate you having me on.
Dude, I'm pumped. It's about damn time, right?
It really is, yeah. This is all of my second podcast, so I'm not nervous at all. Now I'm a seasoned professional.
What was your first one? Was it We Like Shooting?
Yes, sir.
That is chaos in a podcast, so I'm pleased.
Yeah, which is really great for me because, of course, I felt like I really belonged because they're a bunch of lunatics.
Yes, that is an understatement and a half. Well, I'm pumped to have you both here. One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately is kind of the state of the suppressor industry. And both of you guys have been at it for a long time doing your own things. And I wanted to kind of get some insight into how the suppressor industry is going, what is really happening, the trends and things like that. So we're going to dive into that a little bit tonight. But first, Kyle, can you give a quick background, like kind of an elevator pitch on what KG Made is and is sort of all about?
So KG Made, the company's been around since 2011. We got into the firearms industry probably about 5 years ago. I've been a shooter my whole life, so it was kind of an engineering challenge on the suppressor side. So we got into that and started out as just R&D and building some cool little niche products with the EOS and little small stuff. And then it's just completely spiraled out of control. And now that's all we do. So, but we do a little bit of everything from some OEM manufacturing to development. And yeah, just been balls to the wall since.
So you said OEM. I know this is something that you haven't really talked about in large part yet, but do you want to dive into what you're doing?
Yeah. So I guess okay to talk about it now. I actually cleared it with the guys today. As of December of last year, we took over all of OEM manufacturing for Dead Air.
Wow, dude, everything. That's huge.
It's pretty big. It's we made some kind of post here and there, with the new building. So we went from 6,000 square feet to 32,500.
Nice.
And then
congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That's freaking awesome.
We went from 3 guys to, I think next week we start a swing shift, so we'll be at 22.
Holy crap, Kyle!
So last 6 months have been quite a whirlwind. Just 10,000 things going on. With all the OEM, we are still doing KG Made stuff. We're kind of refocusing more into just staying in the precision market and the integrals. So we've revamped essentially the whole product line and are doing a bunch of re-releases this year. But we're also getting into other stuff. Like John did a video on the P320 trigger that we're coming out with. We're getting into some coatings and research and development on the military side and stuff like that.
Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. For those that want to see more, you can go to our SHOT Show video or check out our previous podcast with Kyle. You can see what he was talking about back then, and now things have gone a little haywire, and things are going really well for you. Well, that's freaking outstanding, man. I'm really happy that now another brand has trusted you to do their OEM manufacturing and help them a significant amount, but that also allows you to do a lot more with KG Made, which is also really exciting.
Yes.
So, Tom, can you give us the sort of elevator pitch on what Bowers Group is all about?
Well, we've been doing this since the late 90s of the last millennium. So we've been doing this for a while now, weeks. And
just a couple weeks.
Yeah. And basically the latest push that you've seen from us is more towards the smaller, lighter, louder stuff that the kids like these days. I've always been firmly in the as quiet as you can make it camp. And a lot of other places have been putting out tons of really good marketing to sell stuff that's smaller and lighter and louder. And so that's what a lot of people are wanting. And we had absolutely nothing in those categories. So that's why Biddy was the first one that was in that category. So
honestly, that thing is ridiculous. And it's not. We did a quick video on it, and for those that are unaware of what the Biddy is, what Tom is talking about, it's a 22 silencer that fits inside a 22 long rifle box of ammo. There you go. He's got one
engraving the other direction. Yeah, sure. So it's that big,
tiny, super tiny. So you started with the Biddy, and kind of
that's our first one in the smaller, lighter, louder category, and then this is the War Dog. Well, so for a comparison. That's Biddy.
I've got a War Dog in my hand as well.
Oh, check you out.
Look at that. I've got one. So you can no longer show a gun on live streams on pretty much anywhere for some reason. You can't hold a gun, but really? I would show you. I've got a War Dog mounted on an HK SP5.
What they will then chuck your stream if you show a firearm on it?
I suspect it's worse than that, but yeah, they came out and said, I don't remember if it was YouTube or Facebook, probably both at this point, but they came out and said no guns on live stream. So, okay, well, this is not a gun. This is a tube of metal and some other things going on.
Did not know that. That's just
I didn't either.
I
you
but I can't use them on that.
so this is kind of the latest evolution. This is the War Dog.
Basically what we're after is I figure if I can already make stuff that's really quiet, then I should be able to make stuff that's smaller than my competitors can make that's still hearing safe.
Sure.
Now, if I can make the quietest, I should be able to make the smallest hearing safe, even if it is significantly louder than what I particularly personally favor.
Sure.
So
you're basically just trying to cater to more people.
Oh yeah. So basically the Biddy is the shortest dry wipeless hearing safe 22 can in the world, and War Dog is the shortest dry wipeless hearing safe 9mm and 300 blackout can in the world. So we have stuff like a Verse 9S, for instance, or a Verse 375 are exactly twice as long as a War Dog. And they're a hell of a lot quieter, but it's what do you want? Do you want 4.3 inches? Do you want 8.6 inches?
Sure. Well, I think at this point, people like the option. They like to be able to go, well, I'm trying to build this little tiny thing, so I'm going to use a little tiny can and sacrifice a little bit. For the record, we had,
and that's fine if they know that going in. If they understand that shorter barrels are going to be louder, shorter cans are going to be louder, and I don't see anything wrong with if somebody's making an informed decision, them buying like an 8-inch 300 blackout and sticking a War Dog on it, knowing that it's not going to be hearing safe. Okay.
Sure.
Because just because it's hearing safe doesn't mean it's hearing safe in all setups. And the shorter the barrel, it's hearing safe on a 16-inch 300 blackout. Okay.
Is that with supers or subs?
Either one, you'll find the same.
Okay.
And then with the 9mm, it's way quieter. It'll be about 132. I can't remember if that was Hush or Lawman. And there's about a 3 dB difference between them. Okay. So I don't remember which one, but I remember pulling 132 before on it, on a 16-inch 9 and an MP5, which is a superior host and has the roller delay with 147 grain Hush. It is barely legal. That's with the 3-lug inside of it, which does eat up a bunch of room and is louder than the screw-on attachment. But our MP5 is a 3-lug, and we don't have a Navy barrel on it, so I can't tell you what it would do with the half 32.
I've actually got it on there, and I really like it. Obviously, it's very subjective, and the difference in decibel ratings can really fluctuate depending on conditions around and ammunition and blah blah, all that sort of stuff. I'm telling you what, the SP5 with the War Dog is really cool. So I want to keep things rolling because it's very easy to get lost in that. You mentioned a trend that a lot of people are wanting, these smaller, lighter, louder. Kyle, are you seeing that as well for your business? Obviously Tom is taking advantage of that and making that type of product. What are you seeing on your end of?
So like even in the precision world, which is again where we kind of started, but also we're trying to veer a little bit more towards that guys are starting to be more educated, like Tom was saying, that they're gonna trade of, our R65 that's coming out it's a hearing safe, but it's designed for longer bolt guns. So you put it on a 10-inch AR, it's not going to be hearing safe. But it was designed for a 20-inch 6.5 Creedmoor, which you can shoot it all day long. But the can's only 6.1 inches long and only weighs 9 ounces. So you can't go run it hard. It's a super lightweight titanium can, but it's for a very kind of specific market that is very knowledgeable about what they're looking for. So while I do see the trend going that way, I also see that the consumers are becoming more educated, and they seem to be a little more discerning of what they're looking for, so that they want the options. Some guys may want a super just retardedly quiet build, so they'll run the bigger can, and that's what you get. But then you got some guys that just want to run, hey, I just want blast deflection. I just want concussion reduction. That's it. And I'm sure Tom has seen the same thing, that there's no reason why you can't build both, because those customers are out there now.
Yeah. And I just think it's important for people in the industry like us to communicate and educate, just go, hey, it's going to be fine if you get in a gunfight with this little can on there and it's not hearing safe. You're not going to go deaf from it. Whereas you might if it's like some little short 223.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a difference between something that is stunningly loud, especially in a small enclosed area, versus having a can that is far less effective than a big one, but you still have a lot of maneuverability left.
Yep.
Practice, when you're training, wear a hearing pro. It's like, okay, if you're killing people, if you're in a gunfight, great, don't wear hearing protection. Other than that, you do not need to hear how loud it is for training purposes. Because people get weird ideas. So as long as they know that, okay, this is not something I should be doing all the time, but it's there for me if I get in a fight, great. Then I'm all over it.
Yeah. And I agree with Tom too on the education side for the companies, just don't make up stuff just to sell cans. That if it's a louder can, tell people it's a louder can.
Is that a common thing? Like, are companies really still just making crap up to sell cans? Is that happening?
Oh, yeah.
I see it. Oh yeah. Yeah, to sell cans. I mean,
there's a tremendous amount of dishonesty in marketing, or even if it's not straight up, hey, I'm going to lie to you guys, where it's very deceptive for somebody who is not well versed in the art.
Yep.
I would say that probably, if we haven't yet hit the 50% mark, we're probably very close to half the cans that are sold for 308s nowadays are not hearing safe on a standard like 20-inch 308.
Really? That's pretty substantial. Well, how
Kyle,
does that
would you agree with that?
By? Oh no, I agree 100%. Like, okay. And again, it's the trend of going more towards the smaller cans, but the consumer is not being educated that there is a certain direct relationship between volume and sound reduction. So yeah, I mean, you can have a 6-inch 308 can that sounds pretty good for its size, but it's not hearing safe anymore on a bolt gun. Yeah, and I don't think that is being conveyed to the customer in a very direct manner
because they want the money.
They want to sell. Correct.
Yeah. Ethics over money over ethics.
Yeah,
that's like it's easier not to educate them. It's easier not to educate the client, and I think it does the client a disservice. And then, of course, now you have a whole bunch of people who have only bought those kind of cans because they go, well, that's a bitchin' little can. I want that. I don't want some big thing, and then they stick it on something short. And then YouTube comment sections and stuff are full of cancer like that, where it's like, they tell you that this is not, using cans doesn't make something hearing safe. It's like, you can't make a 223 hearing safe. Bravo Sierra, yes, you can. You can make it very comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like you can make it way hearing safe.
I think it's really interesting that it's 2020 and we still have just straight up nonsense floating around. I don't know how that persists. I don't know where it comes from.
Marketing.
Yeah, but it's not
really
just
effective
be marketing. It can't all like the what you just said.
That's who's Sonny.
Yeah, but I mean, making the inability to make 223 hearing safe. That I've heard that a couple times, but where does that even start? Like, is that something from like the 80s that people just didn't understand?
No, because cans back then were hearing safe. Back then, we all competed to make cans as quiet as possible. That was what the competition was.
Sure.
And nowadays, it's like people don't really, the quietness of can doesn't really enter into it for that many people.
Yep.
There's people who buy cans and collect them, which freaks me out. They don't shoot them. It's like, really, you pay good money for this can, and then they buy it with the intent to not shoot it or not shoot it much because they're going, I just wanted it because I can afford it and it's cool looking. And that boggles my mind.
I mean,
I did not believe that when I was told that initially. I was like, yeah, you're jerking my chain.
I mean, to each their own.
I find this all really fascinating because, from the consumer perspective, even where I'm at, I've got quite a few cans. I've shot a lot of different stuff, but I am far from an expert on what is possible as far as engineering goes, because, you start to understand the essence of the firearms, but there's a little bit of, not black magic, but there's a little bit of stuff that goes on in silencers that is physics based that a lot of people just don't quite understand, myself included. And I think it's really interesting that marketing has sold more cans than the true science, because if what you're saying is half of the cans out there that are for 308 are not hearing safe, that's shocking to me.
It's shocking to me as well.
But is it really that shocking?
Yeah.
So,
Look,
why?
it's shocking because I expect more.
Well,
I still have this level that I expect from the gun industry, even though there's some total jackasses out there.
sure.
I expect more from people.
But keep in mind, how much has the suppressor industry grown in the last 10 years?
You tell me.
I don't know,
It's exploded.
couple thousand percent, even the last 5 years. If you
Sure.
look at like the NFA registry data, I mean, the line is like an 80-degree line. I mean, it just goes up and up and up and up and up. So what I think has led to some of this is the growth in the industry, or the education of the consumer has not kept up with the growth in the industry.
I think that's pretty interesting, and I don't know what the tactic is to fix that. Because
more companies like mine and Tom that will just tell it to people straight, and if they want to buy our can, they'll buy our can, and if they don't, they don't, and not sacrificing integrity or anything to move a product down the street.
We've got a really, really good question from a guy named Jason Bacon over on YouTube. He says, so who buys a can that doesn't want it to be as quiet as possible? What type of person is that?
More people than you would think.
Yeah. Dude, War Dog. I had that thing in development for a couple of years because it's not my bag. Okay.
Would you say that you were resistant to put it out simply because?
Because it's so much louder than the cans that we make that I prefer.
You know what I think is really interesting in that same vein. Hang on, I want to make this point. I think it's really interesting that even though we know there's a lot of cans out there, right? Like that's a pretty common thing to us. But still, when you go to some backwoods gun club, some dude shows up with one, and it's still a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a super common thing at these podunk places. And what that says to me is that one can that you're resistant to putting out has potential, maybe not, guaranteed, but has potential to be the representation of your company and silencers in general to these, people at these ranges. And I still find that really interesting.
Yeah, because just because they're in common use doesn't mean that there isn't room for a whole heck of a lot more market penetration.
Sure.
Okay. Yep. I mean, come on. They're a muffler. They should not be restricted at all. They're only a firearm through a legal fiction so that they can be regulated. That's the only that is a factual statement. They're considered a firearm by ATF. It's a legal fiction because they do not expel a projectile under the force of a contained, whatever the definition, GCA 68 definition is. It's like
I can feel the rage building within you, Tom.
Thank you. Then I'm communicating effectively.
Yeah.
It's a muffler. Come on, man. Freedom demands that these mufflers not be restricted in any way. I mean, realistically, the American suppressor industry should be destroyed because they should be flooded with cheap Chinese garbage suppressors, because there should be absolutely no restrictions on them at all. Because come on.
Speaking of that, we had the Hearing Protection Act pop up. I don't know how many years ago it was exactly. I would say 3, maybe 4 years ago. It was a little bit ago that the HPA popped up. Would you guys say, Kyle, why don't you kick this one off? Would you say that the HPA did anything good, or did it completely ruin the suppressor industry?
I don't think it ruined, and I'm probably going to get a bunch of crap for this, but I think it had very good intentions, but I think the execution of it actually was its downfall, to be honest. And I think
what way? Explain that.
The way, I guess, the way it was pushed, the way it was advertised, as a done deal, and nothing, we all know nothing in politics is a done deal. And I think that while the effort was valiant and the intent was good, I think it hurt the industry more than helped it, to be honest.
Every word he said. Every word he said.
It's I hate to say it, and as much as I'd love to see it happen, it was one of those, I saw the writing on the wall when that thing kind of came to be. And there's too many other bigger fish to fry on the political side. And I think that a lot of companies pushed behind it prematurely, and it got us in trouble.
What's really interesting to me is the sort of aftershocks that caused.
I know.
I gauge a lot by what people are saying in the comments on social media, YouTube, etc. That's sort of my gateway to the common man, so to speak, the person that's not tuned into the industry all the time, every day. And what I was seeing around that time was, this huge rush. Everybody wanted to buy stuff. And then when that was introduced, it was, I'm just going to wait till it passes. I'm going to wait till it passes. I'm going to wait till it passes. I'm going to wait till it passes. Because like you said, they pushed it as, this is coming. This is a done deal. And I think that was really, really dangerous and, quite frankly, stupid. I think it was done, honestly, I think it was done because of ego. I think that's where that came from. And speaking of that, one of the groups that was pushing that is the American Silencer Association, the ASA. What do you think? Does that group and maybe the others that I'm unaware of that exist, do they have relevance? Because as far as I've seen, they have done absolutely jack to date. I've not seen any movement. What do you think about the ASA, Tom?
I know a lot of people who are involved with it, and some of them I have a great deal of respect for. Okay.
Sure.
Bowers Group is not a member.
Okay. That tells us a lot. I think
I don't see our goals as aligned sufficiently for us to support them. Bowers Group as an entity.
Sure.
And
they do charge a fair chunk of money to be a part of that. I know that. I've seen the dollar amounts. Why do you think they haven't, like, what could they do to bring companies like yours on board? Like, what could they fix within what they're doing? I mean, if you don't want to get into it, I appreciate that. I understand it, but
I saw some things early on that I thought were not well thought out. And I don't really want to get into it much deeper than that, because there's a whole bunch of crap going on behind the scenes that most folks aren't aware of. And I just don't want to be like stepping in all that.
Sure. I can totally understand
on me. Yeah.
From my perspective, I like some of the folks at ASA.
Absolutely.
I think they're attempting to do things. I have seen zero movement, at least from what they've put out. There's this constant, hey, we're doing a giveaway and things of that nature, which I think are completely counterintuitive and very NRA like. And we all know how that goes. Kyle, what do you think of the ASA right now? Do you think it's a relevant thing? Is it something you support?
We don't support it as a company. I'm I guess semi-aligned with Tom. It's been a long day. On the fact that a lot of initial stuff was handled pretty poorly. I do disagree with you, John, a little bit that what I have seen, while not on the federal level, the state level, they've been pretty instrumental in doing some state level suppressor lifts for hunting. And
you know what? I will say that I am very bad at recognizing them for that. That's not the first time I've done that. So thank you for correcting me on that.
so, I mean, at the state level and what they're doing, and I applaud them for that. On a federal, much larger level, and again, there's probably a lot of stuff behind the scenes that I do not know. I mean, I know Owen and Knox, and it's just from a company level, they are not where I would like them to be to put a lot of money and effort behind what they're doing. While it is valiant, it's just something we don't, not yet.
Well, I hope that if they do catch wind of this discussion, I hope that they take what we're talking about and use it to fuel their fire to get better. Because I
would love for them to come sit down with either of us and say, what do we need to do as an association to start truly representing the industry on a both political, but on a consumer side as well.
I totally agree. I think it would be amazing to watch them just try and be a better representation of everything. So that kind of brings me around to the idea of bans on silencers, suppressors. Is people get really upset, by the way, if you call it a silencer still. They really get upset about that. And I think it's very funny. To the point where I purposely call it a silencer more often than I call it a suppressor.
Good for you.
Like, come on. It's one, that's what it's called. Second, I'm not going to bend because somebody got butthurt about the word silencer. Bans. This is something that is happening. Like, we're seeing more and more states allow silencers for hunting, but at the same time, everybody is, these quote unquote liberal politicians, these douche nozzles on the other end of the spectrum, they're trying to take all the freedom away. Do you think these are real threats? Tom, you mentioned something to me when we were on the phone earlier about Virginia. Do you know a lot about what's going on over there?
Not a ton. I just know that that's on their fairly short list of things that they want to use to oppress their citizenry. Is they want to actually take their cans away, like no grandfathering or anything like that. Just like with their assault weapons. It's like, hey, get rid of them, get them out of state, or gimme is the end goal. And I'm just like, I honestly, I was a bit surprised that cans even made it onto their radar. I mean, come on, it's still relatively obscure, and it's not like they're used in crimes or anything. It's like it's insane.
It's low hanging fruit.
Yeah, I guess.
I think it has a lot to do with making people feel better. People have a perception, right? And I don't think any politician that is pushing against guns or anything gun related cares about the actual banning of the item. I think it's about making people feel like they are safer. It's this weird illusion that they're painting. They're painting like this optical illusion about, hey, we're going to get rid of something. We're going to ban it so that it goes away entirely and you never have to worry about it ever again, except when you cross into the next state and they're totally legal over there. That's the kind of crap that they're trying to trick people into this dystopian thing where we, the government, are going to make you safe. We're going to take care of you forever. Really, that's what it's all about, right?
Yes.
It appeals to that kind of mindset person who thinks that the government should be all things and take care of you and provide for you.
Yep.
And be your mommy.
Kyle, do you see these sort of threats of bans and those that may be on their way? Do you see them as something that's really going to affect your business?
I guess us personally, maybe not. Again, as we're moving towards the more precision and hunting market, as well as the mill LE side, I don't think personally, but that is actually completely besides the fact. It doesn't matter whether it impedes us or not. It's still a violation of rights. And I mean, it shouldn't even be an issue just for that fact in itself. I don't want to take them seriously, but at the same time, you have to, because it's very, very possible for something like that to pass.
Well, if you don't take them seriously, then it has even more opportunity to pass because it's unimpeded.
Correct.
And they're in control right now.
Exactly.
People voted those clowns in,
Yeah. So the people that voted them in are the same people that are going to vote for something that they don't care about, because the people that are voting for that are not gun owners. So why would they care about suppressors or assault rifles and, and any of that kind of stuff? So, you have to think about that mindset, that it's nothing to them to vote something like that out when it's everything to us. So while it seems absurd, a lot of things have been passed and a lot of institutionalization has been implemented because the average person just like, oh, that'll never pass or that'll never happen. And I hate to say it, but the average gun owner is just as bad. And it needs,
that's no joke.
Like there's some waking up that needs to happen in the firearms community, because if you let them have it, they're going to take it, and they're going to keep going and keep going and keep going.
So this may be a little bit of a tangent here, but what's really interesting, and I use this term all the time, it's always very interesting to watch the onslaught happening in states like Virginia. Virginia is a prime example. The same thing happened in Washington State. Mm-hmm. What I notice as a creator is that we don't hear anything about these places until it's doomsday. We don't hear, hey, help us support this thing. This group, that group is doing, this pro-gun thing, that pro-gun thing. We don't hear anything until it's time to, quote unquote, fight the man and put a stop to it. And quite frankly, the way those things transpire is, like Tom said, you vote these clowns in or allow them to be voted in by not voting, not participating, and not voting for the other guy. And I think what's really scary is that we are going to start seeing these laws challenged that do make it through. These are going to get challenged, and they're going to go to some ultra-liberal anti-gun judge, and then it's just going to get shut down. The Ninth Circuit over in California is a prime example. It doesn't matter what they do. They can try and push it up, try and push it to the highest of the high courts, and it will never make it to the Supreme Court because they just won't hear the case, and they don't care. And not only that, but if it were to some crazy instant, if it were to make it to the Supreme Court is so scared to hear a gun case, let alone a silencer case. They don't care. And it's all under this crazy guise of making people feel a certain way. They're trying to make everybody feel safe. We're going to avoid this issue altogether because it makes people angry. That's what's happening. They don't want to talk about it. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people about, pro-gun this, pro-gun that. It doesn't matter unless you're out there doing stuff. And then half of our community hates the fact that rallies, quote unquote, don't do anything. Mm-hmm. It's a really weird, circular trap that we put ourselves in.
No, and then you have things like, God, I think it was just yesterday. That whole bit where they say, I don't remember the phrase I was looking for, so I'll just skip past it so you don't have to just sit here and watch me stutter. But basically, none of our politicians are perfect. None of them are going to be perfect. Trump talks a really good game, but people are justifiably angry about him basically encouraging ATF to use their regulatory powers to ban the latest bump stocks. However, if you look at what he's doing, as far as you mentioned the Ninth Circuit, it's about ready to flip.
Really?
The Supreme Court has flipped.
Yeah,
Okay.
I knew the Supreme Court did, but they're still not hearing gun cases.
These are jurists who will be in those positions long. Some of them are going to be in place after Trump's dead. You know, your typical jurist is in a position like that for decades. It's way more important than anything that he does now or then, because, well, just like how you see judges that they're not necessarily loyal to who they're appointed by. Okay. I mean, I've seen judges that were appointed by Bush go against his things that he wanted to do. Same thing happened with Obama. Same thing will happen with Trump, but we're getting better, more conservative jurists overall than we've been getting appointed for a long time, because so many people have been willing to play along and compromise and work with the opposition instead of saying, you hate my guts, I'm going to do the opposite of anything you want, and I don't care what you think, and I'm going to just shove this guy through, and you can hate him all you want, but he's your judge now, just like I'm your president. And that's important. That's important. I mean, he is doing really, really important work, and yeah, he's not perfect, but if for nothing else, he needs to get reelected, because Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she's still on the court. She will get replaced. I bet fold money that she's going to be replaced next term. So do you want somebody like some commie like Bernie in there? Or do you want somebody who's going to replace her with somebody who's better than he's going to stick in there? Because that is where the future of the country lies. If you don't want to start having to shoot your brothers and sisters. And it's all fun to talk about the Boogaloo and stuff, and I've done it myself. But if it pops off, it's going to be unimaginably ugly. It's not just going to be fun.
It's not going to be fun at all.
No.
Well,
it's not going to be fun. Look. In large terms, it will not be a fun time to watch the country literally fall apart at the seams.
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't need that. It's not good.
It's very simplified. Kyle, what are your thoughts on this, man? I want to get some thoughts from you. You're a younger guy, and what do you think about what's going on in terms of the legal side of things in the gun space and the silencer space?
I think you have some small pockets of proactivity, what is it? FPC Firearm Policy Coalition.
Yeah, they're doing great things.
Yeah, they're doing some good stuff. GOA, Gunners of America. There's some pockets of things that are doing some really, really amazing work, but they are fighting an uphill battle. And I do agree with Tom on the justice side. Is there are some people that are playing the long game, and while that may not be inherently visible now, there is some 20 and 30 years, I guess, instances being set in motion now to prevent, the ultimate repealing of the Second Amendment, where all the guns are taken away, and then you move towards a socialist or communist society. I mean, look at Venezuela.
Oh my goodness.
You can see the time clock of when stuff started happening to they're murdering their own people in the streets. And there's, while I hope that we will never head that way, the amount of proactiveness is not enough, I think, now, to be honest.
Well, one of the biggest challenges I think we have is that it's not fun. It's not cool to be proactive and be a part of that system. That's
a lot of hard work and money, and
it's a lot of money.
Yeah. You're going to be hated by people who are your friends because you don't want to put night vision on and go Boogaloo down the street. That's not where this country needs to head. So it's not the cool kid in the room. It's not the person saying, hey, we need to figure this out now before we are outnumbered. And if we keep going the way we're going, it's going to be it's a very realistic situation. So, every guy that's, as 2A as possible, tell your friends, educate, be the responsible gun owner that educates the people that will vote your rights out of office just because they don't like it. So, be pro, have a 2A guy that, take someone that's never shot, take them to the range, educated them about firearms. People are scared of things that they do not understand.
It's true.
It's the number one problem with firearms is the average person does not understand a firearm. They have a perspective or an image of what a firearm can do or what it's capable of. But what's funny is like an automobile is literally no different and kills 50 times more people every day than a firearm could ever even imagine. But there has been a certain amount of education in what that is capable of. And I think the firearm side is very lacking in that. So my I guess thought or suggestion is every single chance you have to educate someone on firearms, on shooting, on anything like that, that is how we prevent our rights from being taken away. Is you educate a mass large enough that even if they don't like firearms, they understand that it is a right. It is a part of our society. That's how you keep stuff from disappearing.
So we did a video, one of our videos from our road trip, and we talked about, how do you bring more young shooters out? How do you get them involved? Because they've been indoctrinated through their teachers, their schools, etc. Yeah. Their stupid friends that don't know anything about how scary guns are and how they're awful. Even though they love Call of Duty, they are afraid of real guns. And somebody, a guy named Jeff Knox, made a great suggestion to me just the other day. And Jeff is involved in gun rights in a lot of different ways. He said to go get the first-person shooter gamers on like YouTube and social media, get those guys, get the airsofters, and go take them shooting and educate their audience through them. And I thought that was a great idea. I've seen it done. It's been done before. But, going to the it's like you're encroaching on somebody else's space. You're taking these small chunks of potentially moronic people in the future. You're turning them into people that are either neutral or pro-gun, and that's a very good thing. Even if they're neutral, I would much rather have a neutral person than somebody that's fervently anti-gun.
Absolutely.
But that's for damn sure.
That mindset has to be proactive, not reactive. So, like
I like that phrasing: proactive versus reactive.
So
I like that.
You look at one of the Twitch streamers. I mean, those guys that literally kids watch them play video games, which I don't understand myself. But
that whack.
Yeah, it's insane. But if you got one of those guys to go out and shoot, and I mean, do you that one of those guys has more content coverage than every gun tuber combined?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like you pick one of the big guys, or pick one of the big YouTube guys. I mean, you look at like Mr. Big, you like some of these guys that have 20 million subscribers that kids sit there in their room and watch all day. We as a gun community need to start working on stuff like that. Like, so how do we be proactive about being or converting, like you said, just even if we convert some to neutral, or just educate them so they're a neutral party in something that they're going to vote on in the next 10 years. Because if we don't, the next 10 years, they're going to be essentially displayed a very anti-gun, anti-freedom, you name it, mentality. And it's going to be indoctrinated and ingrained in their head, and they're not going to know anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they never had an opportunity to learn anything else.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So, and the shift has been pretty profound too, because you go from let me get back in the frame here. You go from, oh no, we don't want to take your guns. They've been saying that for decades, to whichever one of those fruitcakes it was that was like, hell yeah, we're going to take your AR-15. We're going to take your AK-47. So you get that douchebag. And he comes right out and says it. Yeah, I want to take your stuff. And
at least he was upfront about it.
And then you have people like Bernie going, yeah, I'm a commie. And it's like, yeah, all you liberals are commies, whether you accept it or not, or whether you admit it or not. But they have gotten comfortable that their indoctrination of our younger folks is so complete that they can now say, yeah, we want to take your guns. Yeah, we're commies. And the young commies are going, really? There's free stuff?
I have family members that bought into that crap. Honestly. And it's terrifying because the age of personal responsibility is virtually gone, hopefully to be resurrected, but very, very scary. We're winding down on time.
I thought we just did this forever.
If only.
I was just going to hang out here and chat.
There are so many conversations. There's so many good conversations that we end up having, like on the phone or at a trade show, that I wish we had a camera around. Like I think I'm going to start doing like vlog type stuff more, just to try and capture those moments of like these little bits of conversations that we all have that are just absolute gold. I want to make a point, and then we're going to move on. Somebody said that Beto O'Rourke, the hell yeah, we're going to take your stuff guy. Somebody said that he was a scapegoat to move the chains further in that direction. They knew he was never going to win, but the fact that he was getting publicity, they made him say that. They, the quote unquote people, made him say that so that they could advance their cause even further. Because prior to that, it was still, oh no, we're not going to take it. We're not going to take your stuff. Now it's, yep, we're coming.
Well, you would have to look back to historical quotes from people like Dianne Feinstein, who said, yeah, if I could get the votes, I would say, yes, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them in. And that was decades ago. It's just, they lie a lot, That's
a very, very simple way of putting it. Yeah. So I have one question that I want to ask you both separately. But before I do that, I want to give a shout out to Lobster Media, who has done a whole bunch of the super chats tonight. Matt is a fantastic guy. Matt, thank you for supporting what we're doing. I know you know both of these gentlemen as well, and I appreciate you supporting us. There was a question earlier from Robin Patty, who is somebody that also supported TGC for a long time. Says, this has nothing to do with tonight's podcast, but what does the tattoo on Genevieve's arm say? It says, danger is real, fear is a choice. That's what's on her forearm. So the question I have for you two gentlemen, if you could make any can as a passion project, just like the craziest thing you can think of, what would it be? Kyle, go ahead.
We were literally talking about this today, and it's more of just because it's so off the wall that it is one of those never been done before kind of things. We have an employee that is actively trying to purchase a 20 millimeter.
Yes.
And he wants to suppress a 20 millimeter. And
I want that to happen too.
And asked me if we could build a can for it and all this other stuff like that. And then goes and proceeds to show me, I think it was on Gunbroker, one of the other ones. He's like, I found one less than 10 grand. We need to buy it, and they're registered as a destructive device. So like we have to buy it through the company and then transfer and blah, blah, blah. But that's one of those, like, it'd be just cool just to see if it's physically possible. I did my personal passion project, I guess end of last year. I've always wanted to build a really, really accurate, nice integral bolt gun setup. And I did that. And it is everything that I could have hoped for to really build, an absolute quarter MOA integrally suppressed rifle.
What caliber was that in now?
We actually did it as a switch lug. So I made 3 barrels in one can. So we had 5.56, 6.5 Creedmoor, and 308 with the same can.
That's really interesting.
So it was super fun. It was retardedly quiet. All titanium, so super lightweight. But it was just one of those. I've been wanting to do it for years and years and years, and finally just did it. And it was super, super cool. But I would say one that we have left to do would be the 20 millimeter, just because it's 20 millimeter. I mean, it's just
I fully support such dumb things.
Absolutely.
I'm going to throw this in here before it gets too late in the evening. Matt threw $20 in just to say follow Lobster Media on Instagram. So I'm gonna tell you all to go do that. Matt actually does some great work, even though he has a massive tool for doing that.
Yes.
He does great work. Tom, passion project can. Any material, anything you wanted to do, what would you do?
Honestly, that's what our line mostly is.
Ooh, I like that answer. All right.
It's not any BS, man. If you look at our line, you'll see some really glaring holes in it. You go, okay, we're entering our 22nd year of doing this for a living. We don't have a 9mm pistol can. Never have. Don't have a dedicated 223 can. Because I don't care about that stuff. I make cans that I want. I use the cans that we make. And so if you look at things that now there are some cans that I have that I've made for myself that just won't sell. Okay. But like, you know, if you talk about like the USS, I'm happy with the Verse 30, even though that's not the series can that I wanted to make. The one that I have, instead of doing the 130, 132 dB, it'll do 126 on a 308.
That's fancy.
Well, nobody has anything that'll do that, but they people wouldn't buy it because it's too big, you know. Yeah. The Verse 30, Verse 30T were made to fit inside a specific envelope and weight. You know that, okay, this is what people buy. Okay, make it fit that. Okay. It's still an excellent can. I love that can. Very happy with it. I'm proud of it.
I like that. I've got a 30T and I really like it.
But it's not the can that I would have made. I would have made the 126 dB one that's bigger and weighs more. And would cost.
Is it longer or bigger diameter? Or
both.
Okay.
Both. Yeah. It's more like our large sub gun size.
Hey, I don't know which one of you two wants to jump on this opportunity. I'm going to buy a 50-gallon drum. Can we make a can out of it?
Yeah, you can.
We can out of anything.
Yeah.
I think we need to do that. We need to thread a 50-gallon drum onto like an AR.
It would actually probably sound pretty good.
It would sound really interesting.
I think it would. I think it would sound dandy.
Yeah. I think that's a thing. So
just make it take the Versadapt system. Where's my camera?
There it is.
Would hook you up. Well, I'm sure you already have a half 28 Versadapt insert, so just thread it for that. And
this is 5/8 24. I've got a half 28 somewhere.
I bet you have a half 28 somewhere.
I'm pretty sure I do.
With one. And then just cut the threads in there, and I would make the hole by shooting the can the first time.
Hey, so if anybody wants to help us figure out how to do that, I would love to let me, if you guys want to let us know in the comments about the 50-gallon drum suppressor, you want to see that in a video? I don't know how the hell we're going to do that. I don't know.
Not that hard. I've already.
I don't have a welder to weld the bung in to do the threading. I don't know. Look, I'm not the guy. That's what you two are for.
Oh man. Not now.
Okay. This made me laugh.
Pictures of it done already, just so you know.
Yeah.
That's nonsense. We are the first at everything. Matt said, "Bro, how are you going to steal Kyle's idea for a 20mm can?" Guys, I want to say thank you for coming on tonight. I think we covered a lot of ground, a lot of stuff going on tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much,
Tom. I really appreciate it.
Good to meet you, Kyle.
You too, man.
I'm
sure one day we'll meet in person.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Can you tell folks, Tom, where you want folks to go, what the website is, the social media, all that?
BowersGroup.com and at Bowers Group. And our website's kind of caveman-y. You cannot buy anything directly from it. So call or email.
They're very responsive on that.
Yeah. Call or email. Instagram is at Bowers Group.
Rad. Kyle,
easy.
Where can people find you? Where can people connect?
Well, we're actually worse than Tom, as we are completely rebuilding our whole website right now. So we have like this awesome landing page, but my email's on there, shop email's on there. Instagram is at kgmade_suppressors. It's kgmade suppressors on Facebook. That's where we are. We should be back up with another month or so on a new website. But yeah, that's where you can find us.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate both of you guys coming out and joining us tonight. For anybody listening, please do us a favor and check out our show sponsors tonight, Kinetic Development Group. If you go to kineticdg.com and use the code TGC10, you get 10% off your order. And if you go to Vertex, that's VERTX.com, grab yourself a bag, get 25% off if you use our code TGC. That would be fantastic. As always, guys, thank you all for listening, watching, etc. We will see you very, very soon.
Peace out.